Hi everyone, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great day like always. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about BlackBerry Stock, GameStop, AMC, Nokia for March 15th trading day, giving you guys lows and highs like always by analyzing the graph. And a quick apology because I was supposed to have these videos out during the week in terms of separate videos as well, plus additional videos, but I'm not going to lie, was a little bit lazy. Plus, I had stuff to do for work, so I was busy in that sense. So I apologize in advance. And I will have timestamps down below for the stocks that you want to watch specifically, because you obviously don't want to watch all of them. The only thing is, though, I would say stay for the first 30 seconds because I'm going to cover the overall market, because that will be almost like a catalyst for almost all the stocks anyway. Now, quick disclaimer like always, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional. And everything I do share with you guys is just my opinion. It is not advice. So please do not buy or sell based off the information I show you or the opinions I do form. I do own shares in BlackBerry, been holding for 6 years, so I'm a long-term investor overall by play. Now for the overall market, by the way, before I go to the next stock, is if you've seen my past videos in terms of why I'm bullish for the overall market, definitely highly encourage you to watch the last one at least. In terms of the levels that we were passing, we're pretty much bouncing off the last level in terms of support kind of thing. So it's going to continue to the upside, in my opinion, still continue to the upside. It looks like my prediction for 33,000 points for the Dow Jones seems to be true from my past third video, I think. And plus we have the stimulus bill passed fully finally on March 11th, I believe it was. I can't remember exactly. So pretty much everything's moving to the upside. I know the tech stocks were getting hit a little bit, but overall should be good moving forward. Tech stocks are a little bit different sometimes, so be aware of that. Now, if we go to BlackBerry Stock, I'm going to start off with BlackBerry Stock first, and I'm going to show you guys in terms of the algorithmic view. So in terms of the algorithmic view, if you've been a viewer on my channel, you've noticed that we had an upward trend support line that I've mentioned in the past, talking about since October 2020, back test in November, back test in December, January 2021. We had a false breakout right here, then continued on the upside perfectly. In my opinion, I think we're heading to roughly, give or take, $15 a share till before earnings, but I digress. That's going to be coming up later. Now, we did pass the major downward trend resistance line that I mentioned before in the past. It just keeps moving. I didn't adjust that. I apologize for that. But if you've seen the last video, you've noticed that we passed hypothetically the last downward trend resistance line that we needed to, and be a catalyst to move up to the upside. And if you look at the short moving average and long moving average, we're above both of them for the month chart. And then the MACD line is in the positive, but we could be coming down a little bit. So the reason why I want to show this line right here, this line is acting more as support than anything. And if you look right here, touch point right here as support, touch point right here as support, and then there's a touch point right here as resistance. So the only thing is, though, I think once we pass it, it'll act as support more than anything. And if you think, like always, I'm going to run down, if we go up high, how high will we go? If we go down, how low will we go? And if we consolidate, where will we consolidate? But I think more than anything tomorrow, because the MACD line's coming down a little bit, I think we could probably drop a little bit to like 1172, maybe even 1150, 1148, 1138 price point. So between 1138 to 1148, I don't really see it mainly. I would see us going down to 1150 to be honest, and then bouncing back up. But that could be a play 1138, 1148, or like I say, 1172. One of those levels, and then bounce back up to the upside, and then start tackling the 1188. So there's a resistance at 1188, 1194, 1199. The reason why I didn't mention those price points right about here, if you could see these price points, even though the text is pretty small, is because the main resistance, yes, there is resistance at $12, but the main one is $12.03. There's going to be quite a bit of an issue passing $12.03. Once we do that, there is resistance at 1206, 1210, 1216, 1217 around there too. But mainly it's like 1223 to 1238, and then 1244 to 1250. Now, 1238, if we pass 1238, we're good because we're above this line, downward trend, technically support line, and where it will act as support mainly. So that is a positive. But then we'll have issues passing 1244 to 1250, mainly the 1250 range. And the 1250 range, what I mean by that is like 1251, 1255, 1257, and there is 1259, but somewhere around that ballpark. Now, if that doesn't keep us down, then I could see us consolidating for quite a while and being stuck at the 1260 to 1280 price point. Hopefully we don't. And the reason why I'm saying, I'm a little bit optimistic though. So there, if you go here to January 15th, we're at like $9.40, give or take, and we spike up all the way to $15 price point, all in a matter of a week and a half. And I think the same play could happen where we go from 940 to like 1330 and then down to 12, 14, then 15. Because you could say, well, what about WallStreetBets Reddit forum? Wasn't that the reason for the spike up? Yes, they could have gotten here earlier, but I think mainly they stepped in when it was right here, January 23rd, arguably January 25th, I guess, because this was after hours of January 22nd, and then pre-market January 25th. And you could see right here, it goes from 15 to like $20 per share in pre-market, which is insane. It's awesome, right? But here, if you wanted to say that they were here before, yes, they were, but not in the volume that would affect it as much more past the point that I'm trying to state, because you can see I had a downward trend resistance line here from $13 going down to like $12, the low $12, right? So I'm essentially thinking the same play is going to happen, not quite identical, but relatively speaking, rise up within the next, instead of week and a half right here that it did, I would say it would be stretched out to 2 weeks. That's what I would assume. Could this play happen again where it just keeps going up and spikes up? Yes, potentially, because restrictions seem to be removed, because it rose up right about here, but then it got knocked down because, for example, the Reddit community, in terms of after hours, the server got shut down, and then the next day, the Robinhood thing, like all this is in the same place. So right here, the servers got shut down for the Reddit Wall Street community, which right here was the reason why it went up, because of the Wall Street community, right? I think that's undebatable. Right about here to here, Wall Street community, and then WallStreetBets community in terms of Reddit. Then after hours, in terms of the servers got knocked down, and then the Robinhood incident happened all in less than 24 hours, right? The Robinhood, like if you're unfamiliar, Robinhood in terms of restricted shares was pretty much implemented. So you got the morning open, like right about here opened, I guess, and just started tanking, right? Because you can't buy shares, but you could only sell shares. And if you could only sell a stock, then obviously it's just going to go down if nobody's could buy, right? So that was the whole play. So now because of that's being removed and all that stuff, then arguably so, technically we could see the same play. But I'm thinking I don't want to count for too much volume. I want to count for what's more realistic, and that would be more realistic. And that would be the upside. Now, if you think we're going to go to the downside, essentially we'd be coming down to like the 1180. There was support. 1172 was the main one. Yes, there's support 1160, but we would trickle down to 1150 to 1138 to 1148. Hopefully we hold at this price point, but there is a play that we could start trickling down even more. There's a reason why I'm gonna explain why we might trickle down a little bit lower. So 1127, 1129, 1132 is a good support level. So hopefully we would hold at these levels. I think ultimately, if you're optimistic and you think you're going to go down, I think we'd be hanging around these levels. So 1138 to 1148 to 1150, 1127 to 1129, around this ballpark. But if you're thinking we're going to go lower, 1115, $11 and $11.04. So if we don't bounce up on these levels, we'll bounce up on these levels. I'm pretty optimistic, even if you're thinking we're going to go down, is $11.04, $11 will bounce back up. But so this is the point that I want to get to. So the reason why I want to get down to this level is because right about here, specifically $10.80, $10.79, we're pretty much going to bounce up if you're completely thinking negative, because I personally don't think we're going to go lower than that. So we have to support at 1092, 1088, and then almost disregard these, because I'm going to go through them, but this is like literally if you think everything is just going to start tanking, which I don't personally think is going to happen, but I'll go through them, don't worry. So the reason why I'm thinking pretty good support at 1080, 1078, which 1080, 1079, but keep in mind, I do not think this is going to happen, but there is a chance, right? And that's the reason I'm covering it, because there's slight chance more than these. These are, to be honest, not even a chance, but whatever. Is if you were thinking we're going to come back down to the short moving average and then bounce back up. So what I mean by that is it's like over time just come down and then bounce back up on the short moving average. But I don't see that happening. And we have support there, not even just on the short moving average. We have support at 1080 and 1079. So even if it were not to really act on the short moving average, it would act on the actual horizontal support lines. So that's the play. Now, if you think it's just going to die down from there, so 1072, 1074, 1060 range overall, 1044 to 1054, 1027 to 1037, and then ultimately, I do not think it's going to go lower than $10, $10.02, 1005, 1011 to 1015. If you think it's going to come back down to this support level, though, let's just say in case if you think it's going to come on this upward trend support level, I would have to go back to the algorithmic view, and you're thinking it's going to come back down to the 1060 range, I guess. But that's pretty extreme, I would say. I think it would come back down to like the long moving average 1034 first before anything. Plus you have the upward trend support line right here that doesn't look good because it's in the logarithmic view, I believe. And if I go to a 5-day moving average or something like that, so like looks a lot cleaner here. But I'll keep you guys posted if anything dramatic happens from what I've stated. But I don't think those are in play to the low side. I think anything will just go to the upside, have a quick dip in the beginning, and then just go upside from that, from potentially quick dip. But that doesn't have to be in play because, again, we have the upward trend support line right here. I apologize for going super long on this. There's one more thing I want to show, though, is the amount of shares that were shorted, by the way, for BlackBerry have increased, which is crazy. Because we had, as of January 29th, 2021, 20.41 million shares shorted. It increased on February 26th, 43.03 million shares. By the way, if you went to February 12th, the amount of shares shorted from February 12th to January 29th wasn't that much of an increase. So majority of the increase has came from February 12th, or maybe it was February 16th, I can't remember. It might have been February 16th to February 26th, so a matter of 2 weeks, increased almost 20 million shares shorted. So the recent dips that we've been seeing, I would say mainly were pertaining to short sales. That's what was happening. It wasn't really, because I didn't see any bad news, by the way. So it was mainly short positions sales, and that was the main effect. That's why I always advocate, do your own research, do your own due diligence, know the stocks you own, because if nothing's bad happening, you could have been averaging down the whole entire time. Like, I try to take advantage as much as I can, but the problem was I couldn't because the funds that I had that were coming in came in later. So I was able to enter. I bought shares at, I think it was like $10.45, right about here. So I bought here when I saw it bounce back up. So that's when I entered. And I thought it was a pretty good time to enter because, again, my funds were, I wish they were available right here. I just didn't have funds available at that time. I had funds available here. So again, if you do research and you know your stock, it helps to know when to average down. Because even if the stock is not, if the stock is not good, then you know to sell it, and it's just it's becoming bad news is coming out, and you're like, well, I got to get out now because everything that I thought was good about the company is actually not true, or I found out something that's going against it, and now I know I need to get out. But if nothing's bad and the stock's going down, you could average down, and then like essentially from $8 to like $21, let's just say you wanted to get up to, is way better than going from like $14 to $21, right? So there's that. Now for GameStop's looking pretty good. The only thing is, though, I would say is there's potentially you guys might have a little bit of turbulence overall. Now, if you've been on my channel before, you've noticed that this upward trend support line dating since September 2020 is right about here, and then December 2020 right about here. So if anything happens, worst case scenario, and you guys start trickling down from all the way to here, I'm expecting at one of these support lines you're going to bounce up to the upside. But I don't think those are in play because we had another upward trend support line right here dating back since, when was it? February 26th, and then you have 2021 obviously. Then you have another upward trend support line that doesn't look clean until I zoom in right about here. That started at February 26th as well. Wow, okay, so you have both support lines right here, plus you're above both moving averages, short and long. MACD line is in the negative, but I expect it to cross over to a positive soon. Now, again, this is without pre-market, so take everything with a grain of salt. So what I think might happen is you guys might dip down a little bit. You have technically double support lines right here, but I think you would drop down to the first support line, which would be around the ballpark of the 1250 price point. More specifically, let's get to this right here. So what's going to happen is you could potentially drop down to 1250. Hopefully you guys bounce up on the 1250 price point. If you don't bounce off the 1250, you do have support at 1243, 1234, between 1234 to 1243. I could see a really good amount of bounce up to the upside off that if you're optimistic. So keep in mind, this is mainly for the optimistic side. So if you're optimistic, you'd be bouncing up on the upside on this. There's a chance you don't even need to go down to these levels, and you'd just be continuing on the upside based off being above the moving average, I believe right here, the short moving average though, keep in mind. And if you wanted to be somewhat optimistic bouncing off these levels, you'd be looking at the 1260, so you would not be going any lower than 260, sorry about that. So $260, not going any lower than that. If you were to go lower than that, you're looking at, again, like I stated, to 250. Any of those two levels for these support levels. If you're going lower, then you'll be relying on the horizontal levels, which is the between 234 to 243. Quite a bit of support there, and then ultimately bouncing up to the upside. Now, the question is, how high would you be going? You'd be going to, obviously it's 260. There's resistance at 260. What was it? I apologize, I forgot what it was. But basically you need to break 275, 285. Then there's 299. There's levels between these levels, but these are the main ones. Essentially 300. So 275, 285, yes, 299, but 300 breaking that. Once you break that, you need to break 306, 310, somewhere between $306 to $310. There is more resistance levels between these, but this should be relatively quick. The $306 and $310 should be relatively quick. You might get knocked down under it again, down to these levels at 299, 295 or something like that. But it should be relatively quick to break through it, and then this is where you're gonna have issues. The 322, 348. I don't think you guys are gonna pass this tomorrow personally. Hopefully you guys do, but it's gonna be quite a difficult level. Now, if you think you're gonna pass it, there are levels between 348 to 386. The only thing is though, I'm just gonna cover the max because I don't think you guys are gonna pass 348 tomorrow, but the max will be 386. That's if you're completely optimistic, where you're pretty much not going to pass it, in my opinion. I hope you guys do. Hopefully you guys do. But 386 will be utmost max for tomorrow. This is not for the week, just to keep in mind. But this is just for tomorrow. So 386 will be the utmost max. I think most likely you will be on the upside, but you'll be in the range of like these levels right here. So maybe like 322 to 348 roughly. Hopefully you guys don't get knocked down at 306, 310 to come back down to like the 285, let's just say, or 275. Now, if you're not optimistic and you think you're going to go to the downside, you might just consolidate for a little bit of while to 243, 234. But because this stock is volatile, I could see it coming down to roughly around the 200, but like it would start trickling down. But the thing is though, there's quite a bit of support at a $200 price point, like a lot, to a point that you might not even see $200. It'll be at 205, 207, where it's just going to bounce up to the upside. Now, if it does break 205, 207, then I think it would break 200, but hopefully bounces up on 200. Again, there's quite a bit of support there. There's a lot of support, but you would have support at the 190, and I think that would pretty much be the lowest, to be honest. But if you're not optimistic, the reason why I'm thinking the utmost lowest is 190, I don't even think it's going to touch it, but if it does touch it, so you have the long moving average right here, and it's roughly around the 190 price point. You have the support line right here, 190 price point, 195 and all that stuff. Plus you have another support line right here that I don't think you're going to even get to, but if you wanted to and you think it's going to go horrible, is around the 169, 170 price point. By the time you get to it, it'll be 170 to be honest. And this just goes up higher and higher as you go throughout the day. But those what would be happening if you're thinking negative and positive. Like I think it would be going to 205, 207, bouncing back up. I personally don't think it's going to go lower than the price points that I mentioned here, 200, 205, 207, 190, and so on and so forth. So hopefully best of luck. In terms of shorting, by the way, short positions for GameStop have decreased, which is kind of strange, just because it looks like they are giving up. What I thought they weren't going to give up a little bit, to be honest, which is pretty good. But the problem is, and it does affect in terms of spikes to the upside. So in terms of short positions, as of January 29th, it was 21.41 million shares, and it dropped down to, as of February 26th, to 14.21 million shares. I believe, if my arithmetic is not incorrect and is correct, it's roughly about 1/3 drop of shares, which is 33%. So you, in terms of overall shorted shares, it's 20.36% shorted shares. But if you want to count in terms of shares available that are available to be shorted, it's 52.04% shorted shares, which is still a lot. It's still a lot of shares shorted though, but it has dropped. That's the only downfall. Now, if we go to AMC, I'm going to go to AMC shorted shares right off the bat first. In terms of AMC, shorted shares has increased dramatically actually, which is crazy. You have 37.72 million shares shorted as of January 29th, 2021, obviously, but then it increased to 55.49 million shares as of February 26, 2021. So in terms of shares available to be shorted, it's almost 20%. In terms of overall shares, it's 16.37% in terms of outstanding, and then float for 20%. So overall, it's been increased in terms of shorted shares, which is insane. But I think you guys should be in good shape. So if you watch my previous videos, there's, like, I've showed the upward trend support line. You guys did have a false breakout, but if I went to the algorithmic view, because this is logarithmic view, you guys still have it intact. So it wasn't broken in the algorithmic view, but in logarithmic view, it is broken. And then you broke through this downward trend resistance line that I've showed in the past videos, dating back since 2016, I believe. And then you bounced off it, continued upside. Everything's looking great, above both moving averages, which is awesome. The only downfall is, so there's technically two downfalls. So MACD line is going to come down to the negative. So I think tomorrow, more than anything, you guys are going to continue to the upside, I believe, throughout the week. Hopefully it continues, but in my opinion, I think throughout the week you guys will be good. Just tomorrow you might be seeing turbulence. That's the only issue. So if the MACD line looks like it's going to be coming down to the negative, hopefully bounces back up throughout at least middle of the day, if not early in the day. But you have a downward trend resistance line dating back since the January 27th, coming around through here. Touch points you saw right there, touch points right here, technically kept you guys down right here. So that's the issue. And if you think it's going to keep you down, I'm going to go to the downside first, and then I'm going to cover the upside. But if you think it's going to keep you down, you're around 1116 right here. You have support 1114 to 1098, quite a bit of support. Even if you were if you're positive, I think, optimistic, what I mean to say is, what would happen is you guys would go down to this level, $11.14 to $11 and $11.98. So again, $11.14, $11, $11 and $10.98, and then bounce back up to the upside to break this downward trend resistance line. That's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully that does happen, because again, you do have quite a bit of support at this level. The only thing is though, if you don't think that's going to happen, again, like I said, not optimistic and going to go down to the downside, then you're going to trickle down to 1088 to 1080. Hopefully bounce back up on that, because I believe, where was it? There was support. Yeah. So you can see right here, there's quite a bit of support. It shows 1090 right now, but I remember when I measured it, it was around about 1088 to 1080, somewhere around here, because there's more points on the left side right here. I just want to keep the video short because it's already pretty long, I'm pretty sure right now. So roughly around 1088, 1080, bounce back up to the upside at this price point. Now that's probably more realistic than I stated here, because again, you could see touch points right here, and this is just a short amount of 3-4 trading days. So hopefully that does happen, bounce back up to the upside, break through this. But if you don't think it's going to happen, then you're dropping down to 1048, 1060, which is, I believe, right about here. Okay, yeah, so between 1048 to 1060, right about here, there is horizontal support lines, resistance lines as well, or support lines. So 1248 to 1048 to 1060, and then hopefully you guys have support, and then probably, to be honest, probably consolidate throughout there, probably bounce back up and forth throughout the whole entire time. If you're not optimistic at all, then you'd be dropping down to 1037 on this support line right here. And then if you think you're going to come back down to this support line right here that dates back since January 2021, January 14th, 2021, I think. I don't know if that's the exact date, but January 2021 nonetheless. So even lower than 1037, like I stated, then you'd be dropping down to 1015. If you wanted to account for false breakouts though, somewhat like 10.09, but like for false breakouts, I would say like $9.98, $10. But in my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure the market's going to be overall positive for the most part. There might be a little bit of turbulence, like I stated, but the utmost lowest, I guess, is $9.98, like I stated, $10, then $10.15, $10.09, $10.37, and then hopefully you guys hold off at the $10.48, $10.60. Now, for the upside, like I stated, obviously, hopefully you guys bounce on these levels. But let's just say you just go through the upside or bounce on these levels. Then you're going to have issues at 11.22, 11.28 to 11.30, 11.40, and then there was a level that I need to pass. Okay, yeah, so 11.40, where was it? Right about, sorry about that. So 11, okay, yeah. So 11.49 to 11.51, 11.55, this is where you're going to have issues passing. Now, if you pass it to the upside, hopefully break through, and hopefully it's not a false breakout, then you need to go to 10.62, 10.73, 11, sorry about that. I probably said, I'm pretty sure I said 10. So what I mean to say is 11.49 to 11.51, 11.55. Between this ballpark price point, you're gonna have issues. Hopefully you do pass them. You're already gonna have issues at 11.40, by the way, because you had issues the other day. So 11.40 is gonna be already a big task. But 11.49, 11.51, 55 is gonna be a huge task. If you do pass it, that's awesome. But most likely it might act as a false breakout, like I was trying to say earlier, but I messed up. Was 11.62 might act as a false breakout, by the way. 11.73. These are resistance levels, but they just might knock you back down. Hopefully you break through 11.89. And the reason why I'm trying to say that is because right about here you can see the resistance levels, and this is just in one point is going to cause you issues. So 11.89 right about here, 11.90, 11.91, and then essentially you want to pass 11.98. The problem is between 11.98 to $12.05 is huge resistance. Let me see if I marked anything. Okay, so I didn't mark it. I wish I did. I thought I did mark it, but there's a lot of resistance that I hope you guys pass 12.05. But the problem is there's quite a bit of resistance between the 11.98 12.05 price point. If you guys do pass it, like always, I'm going to comment down below and pin it, and then that way I keep you guys updated throughout the day. If anything drastic happens, I'll let you guys know the next resistance levels. I am optimistic, but the only thing is though, for like tomorrow, like not necessarily tomorrow, but overall for the week, I do see a little bit of turbulence for tomorrow. So where I think most likely you're just going to pretty much consolidate for tomorrow and technically end the day pretty much where you guys are at right now. So I think if you think this downward trend resistance line is going to keep you down, just in case though, to account for it, then you're looking at the low $11 price point or the high $10 price point. So like 10 probably ended at, I don't know, 10 or 11.06 or 10.94, somewhere around there price point. If you think this downward trend resistance line is going to keep you down, but you're going to go to the upside still, and then if you want to follow on this upward trend or a short moving average, then you're looking at, by the time you get to it, yeah, probably like, let's say, so I guess somewhere between like 1080, I want to say 1088 probably to 1090, somewhere around there. Again, it's going to be a little bit bumpy. Hopefully you guys break up to the upside. If you do, all good signs, to be honest. You're actually probably going to start pretty much flying to the point that this might not be an issue. But again, I'll keep you posted because it is quite a bit of resistance, so it could keep you down. Now, if we go to Nokia is looking actually really, really good. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to show something quick. Maybe if I could show it, I don't know, it might be an issue. But there's a double downward trend resistance line dating back since 2000 that I've showed in the past. And then you guys had issues passing it earlier. And then it might not look clean because I don't know which angle it was perfectly at. But you guys are trying to end up back up to this resistance line first. If I could show it. I don't know. Either way. So hopefully you guys watched my last video. Especially, yeah, if you guys watched my last video, it covers a lot. Especially the last two, I would say. But essentially you guys bounced up to the upside. And you guys are creating a double upward trend support line, which is awesome. So even if you were to break this downward or upward trend support line, you have another one to fall back on. You could have even a short moving average that you're above. So this is the month moving chart, by the way. So you have the short moving average to act as support. You have the long moving average to act as support. MACD lines in the positive. So you guys are doing honestly awesome. Great recovery. And then essentially what I'm trying to get at is, let me show this one thing. Is a 1 year chart, 5 year chart. Let's just go to this. So you had an upward trend support line right here. touch point right here dating back since March 2020, touch point right here October 2020, and then you technically had a false breakout depending on which angle you looked at and all that stuff, but you technically bounced off this this horizontal support line. That's what you did. You didn't bounce off here. If I looked at it, you actually did not hit this upward trend support line, but it doesn't even matter. You're just bouncing back up. You're right about here, bounced off it, and now you're heading up to hopefully break this downward trend resistance line dating back since 2001 that I showed earlier, right? Now, if I zoom in even closer to the month moving chart right here, like I stated, double upward trend support line. Now the question is, how high will you go? So if you were to go high, the first level that I stated in the last video was the 422, which was hilarious because you guys closed at 422, which is insane. The next level you're going to have issues is with the 431. Now, before you get to 431, to be honest, the way this stock moves a little bit is it almost like moves with the resistance levels, no matter how small they might be. And then when it skyrockets quite a bit. I don't think necessarily, I think there's a chance you guys are going to hit 431 tomorrow. There is a chance. And I think you guys might get stopped by it. That's the only problem. But what's going to happen is you're going to trickle through these levels. So 424 is the next level you're going to trickle through. Then 427, then 429. And then like it's going to be like hit those levels and consolidate, maybe come down a little bit and then go back up. Have issues with 427, 429 like I stated, and then 431. Hopefully you guys close at 431. Hopefully you guys pass 431. If you do, there is more resistance levels to the upside. The only thing is though, I'm not necessarily optimistic for tomorrow passing 431. I am optimistic for moving forward though. I think you guys might come back to this level, which is hypothetically, I don't know if this is measured correctly, but it's saying 474, 476. But if you want to know the level below that, it's 450. The only problem is, before I didn't want to mention this 450 level because there's quite a bit of resistance at 438, I think, 444, a lot of resistance at 444. And then 450 is a huge amount of resistance. Like, I'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to have to make a video if it passes 431. That's how much, like, resistance levels and in play have to account for. But I believe it's like 438 or something like that. The next level that's going to cause you issue, especially 444. But that's the upside. Now, if you think it's going to come down to the downside, there is support at 417. I believe when I measured it here, it was right about here, or somewhere it would drop, or it was a horizontal. It might have been horizontal actually. This might have, yeah, I think this was horizontal. So yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so sorry about that. SL means support level. So these are the two support levels that I measured. So 417 was a horizontal support level. If you were to drop down, then I believe you bounce back up to the upside on 417. If not, it was 416 as well, by the way. There was 416 too. But keep in mind, take everything with a grain of salt. Nobody knows for sure. Definitely do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. Do not buy and sell based off, like, because I could easily be wrong, by the way. So you worked hard for your money. Do not waste it. Make sure you make sound decisions. Don't just base them off of somebody random online telling you stuff, right? So just keep that in mind. But hopefully it bounces up to the upside on 417 if it were to drop to 417. I could see that in play, to be honest. I think you guys could drop down to 417 easily and then just bounce up to the upside. Now, if you're thinking, well, I think because the way it's working out, et cetera, if you were thinking this and you're thinking it's going to come back down to the support line and bounce back up because you saw multiple times do that, then you're looking at first support level is being $4.13. It would come down to that and then bounce back up to the upside. If you think it's going to go lower than that and go to the first support level that it has done in the past and bounce back up to the upside, like right about here, it's done multiple times, then you're looking at $4.06. Now, the only thing is though, this short moving average is kind of hard to account for. So by the time you meet it, it might be $4.11. So it depends on when you meet it. The problem is when you drop to the short moving average will drop a little bit lower too. So I guess it would be around, I probably should have measured an estimated amount, but I guess it would be fair to say like $4.10, $4.11. You might bounce up to the upside before even getting to the like lower support level of $4.06. Me personally, I don't think you guys are going to go lower than $4.06. If you think this upward trend support line is going to carry you through and this is going to be the utmost lowest, then this would be a great entry point to hypothetically continue on the upside. If you're optimistic, if you've done your research on the company, you like done a deep dive into the company and you believe in the company in the terms of long term and all that stuff, then I think there's a really good entry point. If you think everything's going to just start dying down, then you have support at like 402, 403, 405, $4. Definitely a huge amount of support at $4. But you definitely, in my opinion, would bounce up to the upside at least at 398 because you would hit this long moving average as well. So I'm just saying, in case of everything just starts tanking tomorrow, right? Like market starts going. Well, it depends. It depends on what happens, right? If any external factors come into play, just take them into relation. But if it's just too dramatic for no reason, and you're like, this is just being overplayed as a negative thing, but it's not really a negative, then I think a good entry point after 406, if you're not optimistic for the upward trend support line holding, then it will be about 398 by the time we get to the long moving average. I think, because it would drop a little bit lower, I guess, if you want to do 397, 395, but those would be in play, like I've stated in the past videos as well. But I think these upward trend support lines are going to hold and continue to the upside. That's just my opinion. It is not advice, by the way. So hopefully you guys go to the upside overall, and hopefully that does come in play. But thank you so much for watching. That is it for the video. Really appreciate the awesome support. If you did like the video, consider dropping a like. Helps out the channel a lot. Thank you so much for that. And if you do like videos in terms of stocks, like videos like these, passive income, mortgages, financial freedom overall, consider subscribing. It does help the channel a lot. Thank you so much for that. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.